Each one of us has our own personal connection to this man we affectionately refer to as G or G-Dog. Some of you from the Jesuit community came to know and love him even before he was ordained, so perhaps you had some idea of things to come. Others first became aware of this extraordinary man at Dolores Mission, where he began a program called Jobs for the Future, which offered classes, services, and employment for those in desperate need, including young gang members. Others connected with him at that first Homeboy Bakery in 1992, or later when that bakery became Homeboy Industries in 2001. Over the years, all of us have come to know him as a unique visionary who continues to embrace unenviable challenges with enviable courage and boundless energy, who faced a personal health crisis with an equal measure of surrender, optimism, and humor, and who remains a constant source of inspiration, spiritual nourishment, and radical gospel joy. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the director and the founder of Homeboy Industries, Father Greg Boyle.
Thank you. First of all, good evening, and I want to thank you all for choosing to be here tonight and not, at that wedding in London. So you had your priorities. Speaking of gratitude, let me take a brief moment to thank people. It's usually my job to do this, and so I'll get through it as painlessly. I want to thank all the homies who got up here to speak. I want to thank, of course, our great MCs this evening, Raymond Cruz and the incomparable Martin Sheen. Thank you, Charlie, Jamie, Paul, Chris, the great Chris Weitz, and Shayna, for allowing yourselves to be honored. Thank you for gracing us with your presence this evening. I want to thank Art Arianas and Michelle Robinson, Jeff Stutz, and the Marriott Hotel folks who've been wonderful, Bridget LaBonge for your design work, Megan Duanes. I want to thank Carol Biondi and my board for your dedication to this enterprise. I want to echo Carol's praise of Bruce Carrots. Thank you for your friendship above all. I want to thank Patty and the homegirls. You did a great job out there, and everybody on the staff. I want to thank Wright Color Graphics. You've always been here with us, and I appreciate that. Kristen Bray for event manager extraordinaire. I want to thank my council. We meet every morning at 9 o'clock, and Homeboy couldn't exist without you. And all of the staff, junior trainees and senior staff at Homeboy Industries. I especially want to thank Mona Hobson and Emily Skegan for dedicating so much time and effort to this event, but especially I would like to thank Allison Camacho for all that she's done for this event. And lest I forget, tomorrow the great Dick Reardon celebrates his birthday, so I want a round of applause for Dick. I was talking to a homie the other day in my office, and I was running it down to him and giving him advice as his life had been thrown another detour. And he waves me off a little bit right in the middle of my advice giving. And he says, "Look, G, you're barking to the choir." Now, homies mangle more expressions than Yogi Berra. A homie said to me once, let me just cut to the cheese. That's one of my favorites. So barking to the choir, it's a combo burger, I suppose, of barking up the wrong tree and preaching to the choir. And I think it's not bad. I think it's sort of a fair description of Homeboy Industries, actually. For what we do at Homeboy creates a disconnect. It chooses to accompany the disparaged and the rejected, the abandoned and the disposable, the least likely to succeed and the easily despised. Homeboy doesn't prepare for the real world. It wants to challenge it. Concerned less with the bottom line and more with those who line the bottom. The poet writes, the pregnant heart is filled with hopes that are the wrong size for this world, barking up the wrong tree. Take Saul, for instance, a 19-year-old gang member heavily tattooed who has in his short life carried more rejection, abandonment, and pain. Well, just more than just about anybody I know. After frequent incarcerations, he's at home with us here at Homeboy, repairing attachment, transforming his pain rather than transmitting it, healing damage that had long weighed him down. His brilliant therapist, Teresa, suggested to him one day that it might help him if he tried to learn a new word every day. And so he embarked on this exercise daily, and it made him start to feel as smart as he truly is. I remember just before we launched the salsas, it was at the end of the day at 5, and a lot of people had left, and he was still hanging around. And he came down, and he saw me, and he says, you know, we were tasting the salsas, and I think the morita is the best. And everyone concurred. It means agreed. I said, thank you. And then it was at the end of the day, and I had to give a talk in Downey, so I stood up and I said, I got to go. And he says, can I tell you something? I said, sure. I worry about you. I go, why? I think you should rest more. In fact, it would behoove you to relax more often. So we grabbed him and we said, what have they done with Saul, you know? And so just this last week, I had to give a talk in Santa Barbara, and I came to my office. I had to pick something up at 7 to make it in time to the talk, and Saul is there. So keep in mind, it's 2 hours early, and there he is at work, and he gives me a big abrazo, as he would every day. And he says, I think I'm becoming a rehabilitated gang member. I said, really? How did you come to that idea? He said, well, yesterday I was on the bus. I was sitting next to this rich guy. And I was starting to think how many rich guys take the bus, you know. And he has a cell phone, and I'm admiring his cell phone. And I'm remembering who I used to be. You know me, sticky fingers. I'd see a cell phone and go, whew, and the minute the doors open on the bus, I'd be out of there. That was me. That's who I used to be. And I'm admiring the cell phone. And he hands it to me so I can look at it. I can't believe this guy's handed me his cell phone. And I don't know what to do, and it's tempting because the old me is still kind of way in there. And I admire it, and I hand it back to him, and I give him advice. Sir, don't hand your stuff to people. You don't really know who they are, you know, and earlier in my life, I would have run off with this cell phone, you know, but I didn't because I'm a rehabilitated gang member. Because I work at Homeboy Industries. So I came home that afternoon from Santa Barbara, and he sees me and he goes, here's my new word for the day. Integrity. I said, really? That's a good word. He said, yeah, I told Teresa about my story about the rich guy and the cell phone. And she said, Saul, you are a man of integrity. Wave your hand back there, son. In a world impatient with folks who are damaged, Homeboy barks up the wrong tree. It is less a solution than it is a sign. It seeks to return folks to their radiant, true nature. But I'm preaching to the choir. For all of you have chosen to participate in a larger love in this incubator of hope, where together we choose to see the homies and the homegirls as they are and quit staring at who they aren't. Since last year's dinner, this has been a challenging year that's been mentioned a couple times, the big layoff and such. We grew quickly, not fully prepared for the intense demand all across this county for our services, our program, our sure and certain hope. We found ourselves operating in our fullness and woefully underfunded. Last May, as was mentioned, we laid off many workers and trainees. We were in trouble. We feared Bud Selig and Major League Baseball might take us over. But you, and many like you, didn't let us down. With your support, we are now stable, we are thriving, and we are ready to move on again to the fullness of hope. A baker came into my office the other day. He had finished his shift at 6 a.m. and he waited 3 hours to tell me this. This job, he says, has changed my life. I don't know where I'd be without it. You gave me a chance when no one else would, so I've decided something. And his eyes well up with tears and he can no longer speak. What is it, Mikkel? What have you decided? I ask him. And through his tears, he says, I've decided to be determined. And so Homeboy holds him by the thing that does not die and by the thing that does not drop what it holds. A determined, beloved community, trumping gang. So, let me cut to the cheese. Thank you for your support and your help. You have created Homeboy to be, as a gang member once said to me, a belonging place, a blessful place. The wrong size for this world, because it seeks to create a community of kinship such that God, in fact, might recognize it. And so, may we together continue to bark to the choir. Thank you very much.